Hello, Most Users here, and well, let's get into it. The Batman. Now this, I mean the production of this film can probably get its own video. Honestly, I mean I'm not going to describe how the production went. I mean, originally meant to be a movie set in the DC Extended Universe, but then with Ben Affleck going to write, star, and direct it, then Affleck drops out directing, so Matt Reeves takes over, then and Affleck pulls out the project, so Robert Pattinson takes over, and now it's no longer part of the DC Extended Universe, and you can go into the development cycle of this movie and see how you feel about it. But well, honestly, this is the first standalone Batman movie since The Dark Knight Rises. I say standalone because yes, Batman has appeared in other movies, and yes, there's been the animation ones like the Lego Batman movie, but I mean, this is a standalone live-action Batman movie, and you know what? Honestly, I really enjoyed what I got out of it. I didn't have many expectations going into this, and you know what? I think it kind of helped. I really enjoyed a lot of things in it. I mean, I think the story is pretty well done. It's sort of in the style of Batman Year 1, but this time it takes place in his second year. He's still relatively relatively new in Gotham City, and he still has these people who respect him or just flat out feel indifferent to him. I mean, when he's got people on his side like Jim Gordon, he's also got people who are against him, like the current Commissioner of Police. And that's another thing I want to keep in mind. Just like in the Dark Knight trilogy, Jim Gordon isn't actually Commissioner at the beginning, so works his way up. Of course, he's not Commissioner at the end of this, but anyway. So, all of a sudden, a new threat has arrived in Gotham City known as the Riddler. And he's targeting a lot of well-known people in the Gotham community who are connected in some capacity to each other. Batman must figure out what's going on with the help of a new, unknown vigilante known as Catwoman. And, who's got her own reasons to tag along. So he must interact with both. So with help from Jim Gordon, Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman, and begrudgingly get help from Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin. Batman must try and find out who the Riddler is and figure out what his ultimate goal is. So I think the story works out pretty well. It's simple to follow. Try and find the Riddler. And you know what? I give a lot of credit, and I think, honestly, the Riddler, I've always liked him, but I've never really considered him the best of the Batman villains. I mean, and you know what, when I look at portrayals, I mean, it seems like a lot of them seem to go back towards the 60s Batman show and the Jim Carrey performance in Batman Forever. I mean, yeah, there's some menacing portrayals. I mean, some come close. I mean, Wally Wingett's voice acting performances as the Riddler are pretty good as well, but he's still in that comedic sort of moment. I gotta say, Paul Dano did a really good job. Well, the person who played the Riddler did a really good job with this, and the Riddler's written pretty well. I was quite surprised. They turned on my least favorite, one of my Batman villains. I thought was okay. I liked him, but I never really thought of him as great. But into something really impressive. I like the portrayal of the Riddler in this. In fact, I like a lot of the portrayals in this, and the acting is also pretty good. Robert Pattinson is pretty good as Batman. He does a great job, and I perfectly buy him. All the other actors too. Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman is great. Andy Serkis as Alfred, also good. Jeffrey Wright as Jim Gordon, really was impressed with him, and perhaps my favorite, Colin Farrell as Oswald as the Penguin. He's great too. Every one of these actors brings something new to the table, and they all do pretty well. I mean, and I think I'm also glad that even though you've got, I mean, when you think about the four main villains that people associate with Batman, Joker, Penguin, Riddler, and Catwoman, and the fact that this film doesn't really include the Joker, sort of. They do reference him a bit at the end, bit of a spoiler, but that's about it. But honestly, I'm glad they focus on those three villains in particular, not just bringing the Joker. So yeah, I'm glad with that. I'm glad with that. The action is great. I really enjoyed a lot of the all the fist fights and that, and the look of Gotham City. You know, got a bit of you could say a bit of the style like what we currently live in now. And as a fan of Batman Arkham Knight, I sort of saw a bit of that look in it too. But you know, of course that being a video game, but you know, I kind of feel like this is a Gotham City I know pretty well. So yeah, yes, and overall I had a lot of fun with this, but I do have problems. My biggest problem is the runtime. This film goes for 3 hours, and honestly, this is no Avengers Endgame. It didn't need to be 3 hours. It should have just been 2. I mean, The Dark Knight is only 2 hours, and that's paced brilliantly. But, you know, I don't know why they chose 3 hours, but you know, it just isn't perfect with that. That's just my opinion. And you know, there are other things, but that's really the biggest problem in it. But I do have some other small nitpicks. I mean, first off, there's green screen scenes. You can tell when they use green screen a lot, especially with the flying scenes and scenes where Batman is hanging down off something. You know, they just feel really. I kind of know what they are, you know. It's just green screen. I mean, compared to other times we see Batman flying, I don't really pay attention to it as much, whether it's green screen or not. But you know, this I could tell. I don't know why, it just feels that way. I don't know if it's with the effects or with yeah. And even some of the other things, like the design of the Batmobile, I don't see that as it's a Batmobile design I'm not particularly a fan of. I mean, I've seen more iconic styles, and this one just feels very kiddish and sort of looks a bit like Mad Max. I don't know, simple. You know, I'm just not a big fan of this Batmobile. The main theme, I mean, Michael Giacchino's score is pretty good. Sorry if I pronounced the name wrong, but the main theme of it goes on a bit too much, and I'm not a big fan of the theme, you know. And then there's this kid that shows up every now and then that Batman and Bruce Wayne stare at a bit, and I'm getting parallels between this kid a bit with Bruce Wayne's origin story, but you know, you keep showing this kid multiple times, and like, really, you could cut him out a bit. I mean, come on, just have a few scenes of him, you know. Have a scene where Bruce Wayne interacts with him, sees him not donning the Batman suit, but you know, don't show him every single moment. Like, I think he appears. Honestly, I think he gets a lot. I'm just a bit like, come on, you're running this parallel into the ground. But overall, I think the Batman is actually really good. I enjoyed it. I got a lot out of it. I had a great time. Yeah, I wish it could have not run for 3 hours, but you know what? Overall, I think it's well worth. I think it's a good movie. It's an 8.5 out of 10 half stars from me. I enjoyed it, and you know, probably see it again when it comes out through streaming services and you know, Blu-ray, DVD, whatever. And yeah, so I had a good time. But so what's next for my channel? Well, I think it's time I go back to video games. I really need, although there are other things I might creep in every now and then for my reviews. In fact, I think I've got a project to get done actually, and you know, can't wait to do that. For the meantime, Hassel from Hassel Reviews is out, and I'll see you for my next video. Ciao.